Good afternoon. It is Sunday the 3rd of December. Yes, it is. And the first Sunday of Advent. So happy Advent, everybody, and welcome to my little corner of Tinterweb. Thank you for spending some time with me today, and I hope... I'll just straighten up the cushion behind, there we are. I hope that you hear or see something that is of interest to you during today's podcast. My name is Gerard, or Peter, or Boniface. I am a crocheter and sewer, a knitter, weaver, still learning to spin. I live in Abingdon-on-Thames in Oxfordshire, in the south of England, 7 miles south of the city of Oxford. I live with my two cats. Toby is here with me. As soon as I turned on the camera, he was over on my sofa like a shot. And Bunty will be here shortly, no doubt. So those are my two cats, and my housemate is at his mother's today with his two sons, so that the house is quiet, or quieter than it has been. Sorry, just got cat hairs all over me. So that's basically the introduction. So, I guess, first things first, my finished object. I had it was kind of half finished object last week, in that I'd done the top of this, by the time I'd recorded the extra insert that I'd omitted in the main podcast. So I've now finished my table runner. As you can see, I decided to put the red around the outside, and I have a darker green background. So you might better, yes, you can see the difference between the two greens if I fold it that way. So it's a pale green background, and then a dark green back, and I mattress stitched. It is visible if you look at it closely, but I mattress stitched the edge of the when I turned it in the right way around, so that the seams were hidden. So there we are, and I've pressed it sharply so that I've, as best I could, to make sure that the red was on one side, the green was on the other. So I'm quite pleased with this on the whole. I think it's come out very nicely. I'm really liking the two fabrics I chose. This was a video from Missouri Star Quilt Company that I linked to in the last episode. I'll link to it again in this one, just so that, for those of you who may have missed that, so that you know where it is. It's very simple. It took next to no time. I haven't actually put anything, there's no batting in this, so it's just 2 layers of cloth, and it's really, I think, come out in the end really very nicely indeed. I'm very happy with it. Hello Toby, yes, I know you're there. And that will be on my Christmas table. So, finished object there, and I've so much enjoyed that that I wanted to make some more. Now, I do have a correction to make from last week's episode. I said that it took... that I had a fat quarter of each of the 2 main fabrics, and that I got the 4 trapeziums out of the fat quarter, and that it then took 2 fat quarters for the backing. I was wrong in that. It's actually only 1 fat quarter, because it occurred to me when I was tidying up my waist, as it were, that you could easily get, given that I've got a template here somewhere, and Toby has been prone to sit on it, so I don't know where it's gone. He's sitting on it as I speak. So it was a flat template until Toby squished it. So that's the template that Wendy cut out for me in her scan and cut machine. And as you can see, there's plenty of fabric to make a further 4. This is folded in half and half again. So there is plenty of fabric to make 4 more of these. So it would be possible to have had all angels. So where I've got 4 panels of angels and 4 panels of bells, I could easily have had 4 panels of angels on both sides, or 4 panels of bells, because the bells fat quarter is also exactly the same. So in fact, it's even more cost effective than I led you to believe last week. There is certainly plenty of fabric in a fat quarter to make the panels, and you make the same number of panels then for the backing. So 2 fat quarters is all that you need to make the top plus a little fabric for the border, and then fabric for the backing. So it's a very cost efficient and quick project if you're looking for gifts for people. And I've had 2 people message me and ask me, friends locally who follow me on Instagram, and asked me if I could make them both one. So I have some acquisitions. I had to go to Mason's, the fabric shop, yesterday, but I'll talk about anyway. So I bought, while I was there, if I put the light on behind me, it might give a bit more colour. I'm just realising it's quite dingy in this corner at the moment. So I went and bought some fabrics, some more fat quarters from Mason's, and I thought this one would make a lovely tree. And again, this is folded, well, it would be folded into, I could easily make the trapeziums out of that one, folded into 4, and I would be putting that as the backing. So it's not actually just white. I don't. You can, yes, you're picking up the shimmer. There's a kind of it's not. It's a kind of gloss almost on the surface. I don't quite know how to describe it, but it gives it a very shimmering, pearlescent quality. So I thought, with this as the tree and that as the background, and then my backing fabric, I would be using this, and I think I'd probably use this as well for the edge around the white. So I think you can see that the 3 colours would go together quite well, and I think the blue in the soldier's trousers matches the blue of the backing, so I thought those would go quite well together. And the second one, which I've not opened up yet, I'll make the tree with this lovely glistening fabric, which I don't know why I'm keeping in the tube. I can just take the elastic band off it. It's not exactly difficult. Just take me a moment. I'll just make conversation amongst yourselves. Sorry, I've just had a shower, so my hair's a bit flat today. There we are. That's one off. Oh, Struth. Cor blimey, governor, as they say in Mary Poppins, when they are pretending to be English cockneys. Dick Van Dyke et al. There we go. That was well tied on, that piece of elastic. So this would be the tree fabric, which is green, like a Christmas tree would be. And the backing fabric would be this red, which is little snowflakes, but has the gold dusting throughout, which I think you can, yes, you can pick up the gold dusting throughout. And then the backing fabric for this would also be the green, which matches the green that's in the main fabric. So those are the 2. So I will be making those probably later today. After I've finished editing and uploading this, I will probably crack on and make the other 2. So they really are. It doesn't take very long. They're very simple, straightforward constructions, and they're really quite fun as well. So I can thoroughly recommend that. So that's, as I say, the Missouri Star Quilt Company has an episode which I'll link to here for making that tree table runner. So that was my finished object. I have been working, you can see the bag is here, I've been working on the pirate flag, but it's not finished yet, so I'm not going to, I want to reveal it in all its glory. Nobody has seen it yet, beyond the very first squares that I made, so I just want to get that finished. So that's what I've been working on mostly this week when I've had the time. I've actually had a very busy week, but that does mean that the only finished object was the table runner, and I have spent a lot of time really tidying up, throwing things away. I've taken 3 or 4 bags of rubbish and bits and pieces out of the room. Not all to be thrown away. Some of it was just rubbish and needed to be disposed of, but other things I've given to people, or I've taken and given to charity shops. So I've cleared a lot of stuff out of my room, and it's beginning. I can see surfaces again. I've got space to operate, because sometimes you can end up feeling so enclosed by everything that you don't move or do anything at all. So I've had a really constructive couple of days cleaning, which is why I didn't record this yesterday. I wanted to get the place sorted out properly. I've got my laundry done. I've hoovered the hallway and done the dusting, and I've cleaned the bedroom, and I've got to clean the bathroom when I've finished later. So everything is more or less done. So we're on course for the end of the weekend, back to work tomorrow. So I went to Mason's yesterday because, well, part of the reason I went was to get those fabrics. The other reason I went was really to go into Abingdon town centre, because it was yesterday we were switching on the Christmas lights in the town, and they have various market stalls and local craft stalls in the town, and choirs singing and entertaining everybody, and it was really very positive, happy atmosphere. I went to Willow's shake shop and had another shake, and so I did go into Mason's wool shop, and I actually did have a very good reason for going in, because I can't remember. I wanted to remember the name. I will put the name of the person in the bottom. I cannot for the life of me remember who it was who told me. But there is sorry. When I'd made the table runner, and because I like sewing and quite enjoy that quilting thing and want to do a little bit more of the quilting, one of my lovely viewers, who I can't remember the name of, but as I say, I'll put the name down at the bottom. It's just completely gone. Time of life, I'm afraid. Be 50 next birthday, so, you know. Anyway, she recommended that, or suggested, I watch a video called High Tea Crochet. And it's a blanket. Sorry, my eyes are a bit sore today. I think it's all the dust that's been generated by me cleaning. So this High Tea Crochet, and it was a blanket that was being made out of quilted squares. So I think there were 4 or 5 inch squares with batting in between. So the same fabric was used top and bottom, and then batting put in between and sewn as a single square, and then blanket stitch applied to each of the 4 edges, into which crochet could then be made to finish off the square as a decoration, lace decoration around each square, and to join each square to every other square in the item that you'd be making. And I was really fascinated by this, and she suggested, in fact, that it might be a good use for these fat quarters that were in one of my bundles, which are the flowers, the roses, which I really like these roses. I know they're very chintzy, and chintzy has a very bad name at the moment. We're all going for the kind of Scandinavian ideal of clean lines and solid colours and all that kind of thing. And I like those. As you can see, my sofa is clean lines. Well, certainly it's all solid colour. So I don't have a problem with that. But I really actually also quite like these flowery fabrics. But it's very difficult to know what to use them for. And she suggested that these fabrics would be ideal in a project such as this High Tea Crochet. I think it's a blanket she was making. But frankly, it could be anything. You could make pot holders. I mean, no reason why not. There could be coasters, table mats, placemats, table runners, anything you like, really, because you can put them together. And sorry, they have just opened it up and closed it up again. This lovely brown, dark brown one. And I have a couple of other fabrics that I think would work within this to make it more scrappy, if you like. So it wouldn't be a completely chintz. Just fold that the right way so it sits together. That's better. You coming up then, Bunty? Come on then. There's a good girl. Sorry about the earthquake as she knocked the tripod as she jumped up, but there we are. And I've got a couple of other fat quarters which I think would go quite well. So, you know, we've got these colours which are quite difficult colours in some ways to match up. But I think I love this hens. Oops, upside down. I love this hens. I think that they are beautiful birds. And I think the colours within the hens would go quite well with these. And there's this lovely one of stamps, which again, lots of different colours. And I just think it would give some additional variety. And then as a kind of overarching piece, I've got this lovely offcut of fabric that I bought in a fabric shop, which has got these beautiful lilac roses. And they really are beautiful. And I really quite like this. So I think possibly I will want to invest a little bit of time thinking about what I would want to make with these items. But I can actually start off by cutting them into the smaller squares. And so to go with those, I needed some 4-ply yarn that would... these browns and pinks in particular, these are quite strong colours. The others all have colours that are in these. So if I could get something that would complement these three fabrics, which are, as I say, are quite strong in their coloration. And so I went into Mason's and I saw this lovely Katia merino baby. This is 100% superwash merino. It's a kind of caramel, a light caramel colour. And it's, being 100% superwash merino and baby, it's really soft and squishy. So that would certainly go with some of these colours, I think. But I also saw this, also Katia, and this is a cotton cashmere. It's 90% cotton and 10% cashmere. And again, where cotton can sometimes feel a little bit crunchy, the little bit of cashmere that's in here really does make it very, very soft. And cotton is quite durable as a yarn, as a fibre, and so the little bit of cashmere just gives it that luxurious feel, whereas the cotton is really going to give it the strength. So again, this doesn't really complement these colours so much, but really does match the lilac in these roses. If I hold it that way around, you can see that it really does pick up on that lilac. So it may be that I make them into separate projects, or it may be that I just have different squares with different coloured crochet around the outside and maybe make a feature of some of them. So I've got to think that one through, but I do want to give that whole mixture, that hybrid between crochet and sewing a try. It's an interesting idea, and the blanket stitch is a very simple stitch. So as I recall from the video, you do a quarter, you seam everything as you would normally expect, but then you do a top seam a quarter of an inch in all the way around the square, and then you blanket stitch every, I think she did every 16th of an inch, or maybe it was every 1/8 of an inch, but whatever it is, she divided it up into a regular amount so that you just blanket stitch all the way along the seam line, so, well, the top stitch line rather. So it was a very simple, easy way to do this, and it looks very straightforward. So I think I'll give that a go. So don't know quite when, but I've got to think through what I would want to make with those things, and I want to finish the blanket, the pirate blanket, and the two extra table runners, as they've been requested for people who want to have their Christmas decoration, well, their table decoration ready for Christmas. So that was a very welcome idea. I also have a couple of layer cakes with some very chintzy fabrics in them. In fact, the top one itself is quite a chintzy fabric. And ginghams and all kinds of things. So it may well be that I'll be able to use some of these. This layer cake is a much more strong fabric collection. I'm not really showing you very much of the fabrics, but it's attractive. So, but I don't think I'll be using that layer cake so much. I just find it easier to store layer cakes in a tube. They take up much less space, it seems, even though you'd think flat, but the 10-inch square can make it quite difficult to lay things out, because I don't necessarily have 10 inches in all directions, as it were. So that's why I roll up my layer cakes and just stick an elastic band around them, and it keeps them together. So that's it really in terms of acquisitions, except my company, I used to look after the employee benefits program for my company. I set it up with the finance director, but I've now moved on to other work within the company, and so having set up those systems, they're now taken on by other people. And one of the we run several schemes which are licensed by the UK government. So we run Cycle to Work scheme, where I'll explain the whole process to you so you understand what it is. Instead of being paid cash every month or every week as part of your salary or pay, you sacrifice part of that pay and get instead the you're provided with, in the case of the Cycle to Work scheme, a bicycle for your exclusive use for a year. And the amount that you sacrifice each month is the 1/12 of the value of the bicycle. And the bicycle, the scheme operates for bicycles between a value of £100 and £1,000. So you don't actually buy the bicycle from your employer, but you are given the exclusive use of the bicycle for the 12 months. And in exchange for that, you take a pay reduction for those 12 months, equivalent to the cost of the bicycle. Now, the significant thing, and why the UK government is involved, is you do not pay income tax or national insurance on the gross amount. So if you were to go to a cycle shop and spend £100, in order for you to have the £100 in your bank account to go to the shop, you actually have to earn £147, because you pay £47 in tax and national insurance contributions. For those who are not from the UK, national insurance is the money that is used to pay for people's pensions. It's not paid into a pension like your pension contributions. The government uses the national insurance contributions to pay people who are currently retired. And it's one of the reasons why governments are so concerned about the fact that there are more older people and fewer working people, which means that the pensioner to worker ratio has significantly gone over towards the pensioner rather than the worker, which means that fewer workers are paying for more pensioners, but that's an entirely different issue. So the overall benefit to the employee is that whilst you're still paying the £100 for the bike, you're not paying the £47 for the tax and national insurance, so you are getting a £47 saving. Now, at the end of the year, the bicycle still has residual value, which is taxable. So you can either buy the bike outright, and for £100, you'd be paying £23, because you have to pay 23% of its value, or 22%. £22, you're paying 22% of its value. Or you can rehire the bicycle for a further 4 years, for a single one-off payment, and this time you're actually hiring the bicycle rather than buying it. So your salary has gone back to its normal level from pre the cycle scheme, and then you pay a one-off payment of £7 for hiring the bike for 4 years, and then after 4 years, although you still technically don't own the bike, it now no longer has any residual value, and so you basically keep it, get rid of it, nobody really cares. So it's a very good way to encourage people to be more active, and the only requirement is that you undertake to cycle to and from work at least once using the bike. And it's been very popular as a benefit, and we've had over 150 bikes over the last 4 or 5 years bought through this scheme. So it's obviously it has environmental benefits, it has health benefits. So it's been something that has been really strongly embraced by the company as a whole. And in fact, the company has a cycle team which it sponsors and which undertakes various cycle endurance events and distance events for charity. So all in all, it's been a very positive benefit. And there is a similar benefit, which I don't have to go into the full detail of, concerning home technology. So computers, PlayStations, TVs, all that kind of thing. And I started this program, it's 2 years ago now, so we're into the 3rd year of this program. And 2 years ago, I sacrificed part of my salary and got a PlayStation and a nice big TV for my bedroom, which is very useful, particularly for watching the instructional videos on YouTube while I'm sitting at the desk actually doing what I'm being taught to do on the TV. So it's very useful from that point of view. Because it's a big screen, I don't need my glasses on to see what's going on. My computer screen is a lot smaller. And the scheme 2 years ago did include tax and national insurance savings. From March 2017, well, from April 2017, it no longer includes tax savings, but it does include national insurance savings. The schemes run for a 3-year period now, because they're usually generally much higher cost items. And it's effectively a 3-year tax-free, interest-free loan from your employer with a small amount of national insurance saving contribution. But basically, it's a loyalty reward. So good employees, because you have to have been with the company for a certain period of time and you need to have a certain performance level within the company in order to qualify. So it's a way of rewarding good employees, but also giving them a reason to stay with you. So it works as a retention scheme as much as a thank you scheme. And all of that preamble was building up to the fact that we had a window. So there's a window of opportunity which we open for a month, and during that time that's the time that you can apply and be approved. And I decided to buy a new computer. The 33 hours of rendering for a 1 hour 10-minute video a couple of weeks ago really was the final straw. So I bought a new laptop. I rendered it took nearly 24 hours for me I got it on Tuesday, I think it was. It took nearly 24 hours for me to actually, no, I got it Wednesday, tell a lie, it was Wednesday. More than 24 hours for me to actually update all the software and reinstall all my software, the specialist software that I have for various purposes. But that's all done. And I rendered, my first video was one of the Are You Sitting Comfortably talking book videos. That was a 45-minute video and it took just shy of 40 minutes to render. So I'm very, very pleased with this. It's an i7 core processor, so it's got a lot more oomph in the actual central processing unit. It's also got a lot more of the both ROM and RAM within the machine, which means that it can do a lot more, a lot quicker. And it also has a 1 terabyte storage, so I can keep files on the machine available much more easily as well. So all in all, very positive. Unfortunately, I haven't recorded any further. Since I uploaded 2 episodes the other day, I've not recorded any other Are You Sitting Comfortably videos. I've only got 4 more episodes to do on that, so I will probably try and get those done later today and tomorrow. And part of the reason why is I mentioned last week that I had attended the day-to-day and talked about, for school, and talked about what the data actually shows you and the difference between progress and attainment monitoring. Excuse me, bit of a... Hello, Bunty. My wine again is the... I nearly said Sergio Perez, but he's a racing driver. It's Perez Cruz, which is the Cabernet Sauvignon Shiraz Syrah mix blend even, and it's really very nice. I'm having a piece of steak later, so the red wine will go very nicely with it, but it's a Sunday afternoon, so I thought I would just enjoy the Sunday afternoon. It's such a lovely wine. So so last week I talked about the data day that we had with the senior leadership team, including the head teacher and deputy head teacher and the school inclusion officer and all that kind of thing. So that was all very positive. And on Monday we had the head teacher's appraisal. I'm not going to go into any details about that because obviously it's confidential to him, it's his employment. But both the data day and the appraisal gave us an opportunity to look at how the school had moved on since the previous year. The head teacher and the deputy head teacher were both new appointments by the governors at the end of at Easter, the previous school year. And so the head teacher that left, he didn't retire, he's simply gone to spend more time with the family and less time at work, and more time travelling as well. But he had been the head teacher for a number of years, which when a person has been running a school for a particular period of time, the senior leadership team that he will have started with will have changed significantly over time, which means that he becomes effectively the only person who really understands the long-term history of the school. And that just means that when you have a new head teacher, there's a period of transition where it can make people very concerned, worried about how the new person is going to interact with them and what changes are going to happen. And also, there is a need for the school to continually push on with its development. And does the new head teacher, because they're coming in from outside, do they have that capability of leading the school forward into further positive development? And during the year, we also had 2 Ofsted inspections, one a more general inspection, the other one concerning a safeguarding issue that didn't affect the school, but in which the school had been involved because the children had been in the school, even though it was an external matter. So as part of the overall response of Ofsted to any safeguarding issue, they inspect every part of the interaction chain, if you like, that the children have had. And we passed both of the inspections comfortably as good school, which was unsurprising because it is a good school. But what the day-to-day and the appraisal of the head teacher showed us was that we'd set ourselves some very optimistic targets for the development of the school over the last 12 months. And we haven't hit those targets. But what we have done is we have succeeded in the aspiration to hit those targets. And I know that might sound a little odd, but the targets themselves are just numbers. They're not really important in themselves. So having 2 numbers matching, this number must be that number, that's not really the measure of the success. What has happened is that we wanted the school to achieve a lot more, not just in terms of just the attainment of the pupils, but the progress of the pupils, all the measures of happiness that are applied to school children, all the measures of having a workforce that is contented and feels valued, but also challenged to improve. And all of those measures show that the school has significantly picked up its performance in the last 12 months, to the point where, whilst they may not have hit we may not have hit the specific targets that we set ourselves, we never actually expected to hit those targets. We were trying to quantify a sense of achieving, a sense of moving forward. And we have, looking back over the last 12 months in the various forums in which we've looked back now on our performance, we have definitely achieved that. There is a lot more to be done, and we have set equally ambitious targets for the next 12 months both on a personal level for the head teacher, but also for ourselves as a governing body and as a school. And so it will be interesting to see how close we get to, if not achieving the specific numbers, of achieving the ideal that underpins those specific numbers, which is an ever-improving experience of education for our children, and a supportive and challenging environment for our staff. So overall, very pleased with that. We have a full governing body meeting on Thursday this week, and on Tuesday I've also got my crochet class at Willow's Shake Shop in conjunction with Masons, and I shall be making Christmas socks as my activity at this. So I'm quite looking forward to that. It's going to be a couple of hours of just interacting with other intermediate crocheters and Nikki, who will be leading our class, and just really having a very positive time about the whole thing. So I'm really looking forward to Tuesday. So it's going to be another busy week this week. So I'm hoping, as I say, to get those recordings done today and tomorrow, if not certainly by Wednesday, and then my next novel is going to be A Christmas Carol. And we'll see where we go with that. Hello, Toby. What? Did you want to say something to the lovely viewers? To all my lovely friends out in YouTube land? No? You're all right then. You just wanted a stroke. Was I ignoring you? I do apologise. Bunty is just sitting down on my left. Toby is being as demanding as ever on my right. So, it's Advent. And I have an Advent calendar, and I will just put a little bit of video in here that I filmed just before I sat down to start filming this. So I decided I wanted to do something different, partly because, as I mentioned last week, I like Advent to be a period of preparation, and therefore I don't really want to be feasting during Advent, when the feasting is what comes at the end of Advent at Christmas. I mean, it's not quite as penitential a season as Lent would normally be, so you're not giving things up. But it is a kind of mini Lent in preparation for the great feast of Christmas. So what I have in these little pieces of paper is each day I will sit down and have a think about what it is on a particular day that I want to keep in mind, if you like. So on the 1st of December, think of those who are facing trouble right now, both big and small, and pray for them. If you can help someone today, be there for them in whatever way you can. So it's not the most profound thought for the day, but it's just each day there's a little thought, and I fill one of these in, so I've got one for the 3rd, and today's thought for the day, if you like: spend a little extra time in quiet reflection and prayer. God knows you, He created you, and everyone else you will meet today. And my intention will be, by the end of the month, I'll have, well, by Christmas Day, in fact, I'll have 25, because although there's no number on it, there is a pocket for Christmas Day. I'll have 25 thoughts. And then when I pack this away this year, those thoughts will be there for me next year. And I just thought it would be an alternative Advent calendar. So I will now go back to the main video and start recording for you. So I'll speak to you all, well, I'll just carry on speaking to you all. So I hope the idea of what I'm doing with my Advent calendar is clear for you. I'm using a number of different online resources each day to think about the things. I'm also using the readings and the themes of the day, and perhaps even the saints' lives in the Roman calendar for the month of December. Excuse me, sorry, I have a bit of a dry wheeze then. So that's I think it's an interesting challenge for me for this year. And as I say, I will roll up sorry, I've got cat hairs flying around everywhere now. Thank you, Toby. I will be rolling up the Advent calendar very carefully, and those little pieces of paper I'll then use next year as inspiration for the similar day of Advent. So it'll just be interesting to see how it progresses as an idea. So I just wanted to share that with you. Something else I've also going to share with you, I've put together a playlist on both of my channels, the same playlist. Sorry, I've got something in my eye. About Advent music. Because I was talking about last week about not wanting to lose sight of Advent by just focusing on the fact that Christmas is at the end of the month and celebrating Christmas after Christmas rather than before Christmas. And I know I'm out of step with the rest of the world on this, and I'm fighting a losing battle if I want to change hearts and minds. But that's not my intention. I value the season of Advent. As I said last week, that dual... Sorry, I've got cat hairs everywhere at the moment. That dual focus of looking ahead to the birth of Jesus, which is actually looking back in history, but also looking ahead to the coming of the Messiah on the last day, and the preparation of the eschatological coming rather than the historical coming of Jesus. And so I put together, I think it's 27 pieces of music, which are broadly themed on the Advent idea. And I put the music in a particular order, which I think makes historical and theological sense to me. That there is a... well, it's bookended. There is a Latin version of O come Emmanuel, Veni, Veni, Emmanuel, and then the English version at the end. So it's bookended by, from what is for me the Great Advent hymn, that's based on the O antiphons, which was, I think, my 6th of October video, when I talked about these great O antiphons from the 17th to the 24th, 3rd of December. Sorry, cat hairs everywhere. But within that, and the second piece of music is the Advent hymn, which is from Conditor Almesidarum, which is the Latin version of the hymn, written, I think, by St. Ambrose. I think it's an Ambrosian hymn. I may be wrong on that. So, maker of the stars at night, creator of the stars at night, or the creator of the starry night. It's translated in a various different number of ways, but the tune that it's sung to is the Latin plain song tune. So, the first two pieces and the last piece are the Advent kind of indicators for me as an individual. But then the rest of it, I've used quite a bit of Handel's Messiah, particularly the earlier bits, which are very much Advent-based pieces, which also have this dual function of looking forward to the birth of the Messiah, but also looking to the coming of God at the end of time. So I've broadly broken down individual pieces of music, and I think I've put in some that mean a lot to me and I really like, and maybe one or two of them you won't have come across before. I'm thinking particularly, this is the Record of John by Orlando Gibbons, which is, I think, an incredible piece of music in its own right, but is also really quite a powerful statement. And then there's Steiner's God So Loved the World, which isn't Advent in one sense, because it's a more general reflection on God's love, but is very much an explanation of Advent, why the coming of God in man. So I hope you enjoy those. It's about 2 hours worth of music, and I like writing my Christmas cards and wrapping presents to this kind of music. So, and obviously doing some crafting as well. So those channels those playlists are there. I think I can put a link in, so it'll be in the little I card. If not, if you go to my channel front page, you can click on the playlist tab and get the Advent music playlist from there. So yes, I think, therefore, that is probably it for today. Having spent so much of my time out and about, oh yes, I was, no, I won't talk about that. But if I could ask your thoughts and prayers for a friend who is having some real difficulty at the moment. Her partner has broken his neck, fortunately without paralysing himself, but who has to have some very serious surgery and is going to be convalescing, and he's self-employed, which means that it's going to lead to some financial hardship. But her mother is also currently in hospital suffering from pneumonia, so she's having a very difficult time at the moment. So if you can send your thoughts and prayers for her, that would be very much appreciated. So I think I will call it a day there. With all that's been going on and all the cleaning, which is now finished, I haven't got a huge amount to show you really, which is a shame. But I should start to have some more finished objects in the next week or two, which I hope you'll enjoy seeing. So I will sign off now and get this video edited and uploaded, and I look forward to speaking to you all again soon. So thank you for those of you who have stuck it out with me, and if you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and I will speak to you again next week. So for now, bye bye.